Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 from James Gunn is not one of the best MCU movies ever made, but it gets very close to that range. So in this review, we're going to go through a big list of the reasons why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is so successful and why it's so awesome. Starting off, the movie hooks you right off the bat. You're in and you know the premise immediately, and you know what the stakes are in the movie. Now, the stakes might not be as high as you would think for something like Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War, something like that, but in the grand scheme of this team together, the stakes are huge for what happens in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. At the end, through it all, this is Rocket Raccoon's movie. This is his story. You get a lot of his backstory in it, and it ends up that you get a lot from Drax as well, and so it doesn't focus as much on the other members of the team, but they get plenty to work with. That hook takes you throughout the entire film all the way up to the third act, and you get a lot out of it, and you get a lot of emotional beats out of it as well, and you get just very good performances across the board from all of the Guardians. You get a really good performance out of Chris Pratt, out of Zoe Saldana, out of Karen Gillan, out of Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, and it really all comes together in this film, and you end up with a thrilling trilogy ender that also gives you a bit to go forward with. Number 2 on the list of things that makes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 absolutely awesome. Without a good villain, you wouldn't have a good movie, and the High Evolutionary in this film is absolutely magnificent. He is frightening, he is powerful, he is demanding, it's everything you would want out of a villain. He feels like a lot like Kang almost from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but his motivations are a little different. He feels like that next evolution of villain from Marvel Studios, and the performance here is absolutely magnificent. He is just one of the best that we've had, and he makes you really root against him. He really makes you hate him. It's not like one of those villains where you're like, oh, I kind of like him, you know, he's kind of charming and everything. No. The High Evolutionary is pure evil incarnate in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. James Gunn did a magnificent job of making you want to hate this guy, especially after what you see he puts some of the main characters in this movie through, and he's just an utterly great villain. He's just that different type of villain that you get, and so it's a refreshing side of Marvel to have a villain that is this powerful and this awesome. The third thing that makes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 so awesome is the action and the soundtrack. It's James Gunn, so he's going to pick some deep cuts that will immediately worm their way into your ear and just stay there forever. But you get a lot of highlights here. They did release the soundtrack beforehand, so you get some great songs like Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow, which was in the trailer. I didn't like the version in the trailer as much as the original song. Thankfully, the original song is in the movie, not that weird sort of trailery version that they made. You also have some songs from Faith No More, Beastie Boys. You have some classic tunes in there, so it doesn't just stick to one era, it goes across the board. And that soundtrack really is a microcosm of the story. It doesn't stick to one era of the Guardians of the Galaxy or one character or one place. It goes across the breadth of it, and you get a really nice mix of music here. The action in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, there's an extended scene, action scene in the movie that is breathtaking. It will leave you breathless while you're watching it, and you will go, how are they doing this? How is this happening? And it's so amazing in the film, and everyone will love this part of the movie. It happens towards the end, so you have to wait a little bit to get it, but there's a scene in particular that's just an extended action piece that goes along with a kick-ass tune, and wow, it is... I want to say what's happening in it, but it'll spoil the movie, so just you'll know when you see it, when you go and see the movie, that this extended action set piece is amazing. In those action scenes, you might think like, oh wow, it's another Marvel movie, the CG is going to be really bad. I didn't notice anything in the theater watching it that there was any sort of CG that was bad or stuck out like a sore thumb or anything like that. The CGI is really good. It works, and a lot of the backgrounds, you can't tell if they're using the volume. I don't know if they shot this on the volume or not, but you can't tell if it either looks like a green screen or it looks like a set they built, and so the visuals really help with that action aesthetic, and the visuals also help with sort of the emotion that you feel, and it feels very 60s-ish, whereas, you know, Guardians was 70s, Guardians 2 felt like an 80s movie, and this feels more like a 60s throwback sci-fi, a lot with the colors and the color palettes and everything like that. So those visuals really aid the action and really aid the emotion of the film. There's another great action scene that comes with like the guys that protect this corporation that they're trying to break into. And you have Drax throwing people around, you have Mantis doing flips and grabbing people and having them do things with her powers, and that's another great one. Outside of that, there's a lot of other action scenes, but they're fewer and far between here, because this is really a tale about the Guardians and how they came about and their bonds with one another. Speaking of those bonds, number 4 on our list is, it makes it so that if you're a freak, if you're a geek, if you're a nerd, if you're somebody that's outside of people, if you are, different, it makes you feel like you're not different. You're a part of a family, you're a group, and you have people that love you. And that is the most important thing that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 does, is it makes people that feel, unwanted, wanted. And it shows you that there will be people out there that love you for who you are. And it just, the whole plot of it goes into the different, faults that these characters have. And so James Gunn at this point knows these characters perfectly, but it goes deep into their psychology and deep into their psyche and pulls it out and shows it to everybody in the audience and goes, here is what their wound is, and it, and it's wounds that we all have. And then it gets into stuff like family and things like that. The family ties, and not the the sitcom, but the family ties here in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 are deep. It's a deep cut. It cuts you deep. And so number 5 on our list, and to close out this review, you're going to want to bring the tissues, folks, because this one is a heart tugger. It tugs on your heartstrings so hard. If you watch the trailer, you'll know why. But it does so much of that, and it brings out these emotional beats in the story that are unforgettable. And it just proves that this team, these characters put together that were cast-offs from Marvel Comics that no one cared about, is now the most triumphant trilogy that this Marvel's sort of MCU run has had. This is the best trilogy that we've had, from 1 to 2 to 3 across the board from the filmmaker, and it shows because we've had one filmmaker making it the entire time. James Gunn knows these characters. And so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 ends up as, I don't think it's as good as the first movie. The first movie is really like the peak of Marvel cinema, but it's better than the second one. It's better than a lot of these sequels that we've gotten out of Marvel lately. And so if I have to give it a review score, I would give it I'll give it a 94 out of 100, because it is very, very good, but there's some things like in the pacing and that it doesn't quite get to. So if you're going out to go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, make sure to bring those tissues. Make sure to, check your heart at the door, because you're going to really want to sit down and dig deep into this. And so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is awesome. If you can go see it, it releases in theaters next Friday, so in a week. The movie itself, it is a cap-off for these characters, but you'll see after you go see it. I don't want to spoil anything for you. So if you like this review and you like more videos like this, make sure to check out all of my movie reviews that I've done over the years, because it's a great playlist and you can get to know more of the stuff that I like. So check it out right here.